What unites us as Black people is our Blackness. We're all Africans. Let me point out, highlight the comment that was made by my brother there. When he went to, I think you said you went to Rwanda, and you were looking at the names, and your name did not look like the rest of them. I often say, everyone should be identified by their name. You must know me by my name. If you hear the name Chihombori Kwao, you're going to know it's an African name. And then when you get into Africa, Chihombori is going to drift you into Zimbabwe. Kwao will drift you into Ghana. When you get into Zimbabwe, they will say, oh, the Chihomboris are from this part of the country. I know you by your name. Those who were taken into slavery, they lost their identity. They were given the slave master's name. So when we trace you with your name Jefferson, when we trace you with your name Washington, we can only go back to the plantation. That has got to change. My proposal on that issue is to say, we must know the children of Africa by their name. We must be able to trace you where you come from. So there's a lady here in Washington. Her organization is called African Ancestor DNA. She can do your DNA testing. She can tell you roughly which tribe in Africa you're from. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to know that I'm a descendant of the Bamileke people of Cameroon, that I'm a descendant of the Yoruba people in Nigeria, I'm a descendant of the Benin Kingdom. And then when you go to Benin Kingdom, you pick up your Benin Kingdom name. That is how we go back home. Because the children of Africa who are descendants of the formerly enslaved, they are still, to a great extent, tied to the plantation. We must get out of the plantation. And once we get off of the plantation, the process of healing becomes easier because now we have arrived. We know where we come from. We can sit around the coffee table with our children and say, children, let me tell you about where we come from. Let's talk about the Bamileke people, how we fought viciously the French. But before they came, we were doing this and the bronze and all these innovations that our people had prior to the Europeans coming to Africa. But you can only do that when you actually truly go home. So it is my hope and wish that in due course, these conversations as we continue, the children of Africa who are descendants of the formerly enslaved, that for them to truly go home, we must get you back to the tribe where you came from. And you need to get your tribal name. So when you go anywhere and you tell them your name, they know where to find you. They don't have to guess. So that's where we need to begin the process of healing. And that was part of the process of demoralizing our Black people and destroying our own personal identity. How do you begin to know what your identity is when your name is Jefferson? When your name is Smith? You are still lost. It might sound like a minor issue, but it is a very deep issue from a very deep level. And yet, we have normalized it and accepted it and never questioned it. So to talk about where do we begin the healing process, we must go home. And that starts with knowing who we are and where we came from. Then also you talked about you're from Barbados, you're from Jamaica. It would also be nice if we could all start by saying, I am an African. I'm an African who happens to be born in a place called Zimbabwe. You're an African who happens to be born in a place called Barbados, in a place called Jamaica. But first and foremost, you are, like I always like to say, a proud, beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible African. That's where the conversation begins. When we get grounded from that position of being African, and we don't question our Africanness, and we know where we come from, no one can shake us from that position. So our hope is everybody understands the importance of accepting Africa as home. Because once you accept Africa as home and you take your position, the rest of the journey is going to be easy. So the conversations about coming together is no longer going to be an issue. But as long as you're looking at yourself as I'm from Barbados, and I'm from Jamaica, and I'm from the United States, and I'm from Colombia, the divisions are still there, my brothers and sisters. That's what's going to make the healing process an uphill battle. That's what's going to keep us in the valley and never make it to the mountaintop, because the crab mentality is going to keep us pulling each other down and not coming together so we can make it to the mountaintop. You are an African. Understand that. That is where the journey begins.
Ambassador, thank you so much for that.